I just went long on AUDJPY, and in this video, we're going to be watching this trade unfold start to finish, whether it's a win or loss, and uploading it onto YouTube. So without further ado, let's explain the trade, jump into it, and figure out if I can make any money on AUDJPY. Welcome back to the channel, you guys. My name is Nick, and on my channel, I try and keep it real with showing real Forex trading. There's no nonsense. I am not making $500,000 a month or anything like that from trading. It's nothing crazy or unrealistic. No demo profits, no nothing. We're just trading and we're keeping it real here. In this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to film this Aussie yen trade that I just went long on at support, and it does seem to be responding well to this area already. Let's take a look at the technicals as to why I might have picked up a position on the long side here on this pair. So price was pulling back this morning, a little bit of yen strength actually, because remember when we look at Aussie yen, we are looking at two currency pairs simultaneously. We are looking at the Australian dollar's demand versus the yen's demand. And so overall, we've been seeing the Aussie kind of strong recently, seeing a little bit of a nice higher lows and higher highs on this market. So you can kind of see we've been seeing that pattern and now seeing a little bit of a breakthrough, seeing a little bit of a pullback, but I think it did come into a level where I figured there would be good risk to reward on this this upside, right? So the overall trend, if it can continue, I am looking for it to do so rather quickly, and that's why I do have a stop loss underneath structure. So my idea for entry was we pulled back after this recent uptrend to the 38.2% retracement. We do also have a nice level of support where buyers have been very strong historically. So you can see we kind of consolidated here and then found a huge nest of buyers, kind of like a nest of bees, but a bunch of buyers here in this market, right? And then now starting to pull back to that same level, I decided, okay, I'm gonna jump in on the buy side, looking for this momentum to either continue, number one, that would be great, or number two, if it stops me out, then I will take a small $100 loss here on the trade as a worst case scenario, which is really not that bad as I am risking small on the account. Again, technical analysis wise, I like the trending nature of this chart. I like the higher lows. I like the overall growth on this this chart, as well as the pullback to a major area of consolidation where we previously broke out of. And finally, that 38.2% retracement. So there's the full technical breakdown. Now let's talk quickly about the fundamentals. Recently, the stock market has been very hot. In fact, before we jump in over here, let me show you this. SPX 500 has been on a nice rebound. It took a dip recently, found support, and has been rallying since. And so I wanted to jump in on that action, but I decided to actually go for Aussie yen, which has a lot of, there's some correlation there between the stock market and Aussie yen, right? As we're looking at this, we're saying betting on a sort of more higher growth currency, which is the Australian dollar. I'll actually just read off what I sent to members. So I said, overall, the equities market is on a strong move upwards. So I wanted to grab some exposure to this by going long on AUD, which is a higher risk, higher reward growth economy, right? Australia is a much smaller and more developing or less developed, more up and coming economy than the Japanese economy, which is that super stable, lower growth, more stability based economy. They have an older population, aging population, and a very, very large economy, right? So when you have to think about this in terms of currencies, we are buying into the economies of one economy versus another, right? So we have to kind of make that decision. Where do we want to be? Well, Australia, their economy is based around trade. They have a lot of commodities they export to places like China, to places like the US, right? They do a lot of trade-based stuff, which tends to do well when the same thing like the oil market, the stock market, all those things are rising, when markets and global outlook is optimistic, which right now, post-pandemic, I am basically optimistic on those things. And so I have a long bias on the Australian currency relative to a bearish outlook or not so intriguing, not so shiny outlook on the yen. So I have taken that position. My stop loss is below, risking $100. And now you may ask, well, where is the target on this trade? And my goal with this trade is to do my strategy, which is basically I like to trail stops. So I use price action to help me get into my trades, with the idea being that if this market were to rally back to the highs, make a nice little move there, start to break higher, I would go ahead and take that stop loss and trail it to break even. That would lock me into a position where I have no risk on the table, but I won't do that until I start to see at least a 1-to-1 risk to reward, meaning if we could make a move here, I believe I risked 30 pips. So let's go ahead and do this. Yep, 30 pips to the downside. if we start to see a move of 30 pips in my direction, that's where I'll probably start moving my stop loss up to break even and at least locking in a little bit of the trade. So what we'll do here now is I'll pause the video and come back once things get moving. And now, time for a quick trade recap overview. All right, you guys, and we are all out of AUDJPY here for a loss. Let me pull it up. I've got it here, $101 down on the trade, and kind of glad that I got out of this one because you can kind of see the JXY, or the Japanese yen, strength has kind of continued here and basically knocked us out of this position. It happens. It's not the end of the world. We can take a small loss and move on, but let's just kind of analyze what sort of happened here. I liked this area for a supportive level. And, you know, I know what some people might already think. They might say, well, Nick, this looked like a head and shoulders pattern, right? We can get our pin here and let me just grab this and we can go left shoulder being over here, the head, and the right shoulder. But here's the thing about head and shoulders, right? A lot of times people will assume just because they're starting to see this that it is absolutely going to be a head and shoulders. Whereas many times what happens is that you kind of get something that looks like it, but then it actually turns out to not be anything, right? This right now is kind of a confirmed, what I would call a confirmed head and shoulders, when you get something like this where it actually not only forms those iconic 3 points, but also breaks through what we would call the neckline of the head and shoulders. So we are seeing some sell pressure continuing here today. So again, I'm out of the trade for a $100 loss after we broke through structure. My whole thesis with the trade was it either held this level, kept me into the trade, or it broke through that and stopped me out. So Aussie yen down for a loss there. It happens. It's all good. And again, this is why we use stop loss, because had I been just holding on to that trade and hoping and praying that things would have reversed, we could have found ourselves in a lot more pain. So I'll take the small loss and move on. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. What's up, guys? Thanks for watching today's video. There are more videos available on our channel here and here, so go ahead and click into that for some more free trading content. With that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you back next time.